Hello everyone, in this video I would like to show a simple trick, thanks to which you can give originality to even the most ordinary ceiling. After preparing the surface of the ceiling for painting, in the center, from two types of molding, I will create a central fragment. This fragment of the ceiling will be located around the chandelier in the form of a rectangle, inside of which there will be another rectangle already with beveled corners. The ceiling space between the moldings will be painted in the color of the intended wallpaper for the walls. So, the first thing to do is mark the lines on the ceiling along which the molding will be glued. For the convenience of marking lines, I use a laser builder, thanks to which you can immediately mark the corners at 90 degrees. I take the distance to the lines from the center where the chandelier hook is located. Having marked the outer rectangle for the molding, indented inward by 20 centimeters from the outer lines, I mark the inner rectangle. Further on the inner rectangle I mark the beveled corners. The length of the bevels is 20 centimeters. For my purposes, I will use two types of moldings. One wider one will be glued on the outside. It is made of duropolymer material, and the second narrower one is made of ordinary polystyrene foam. Duropolymer is a solid material, and for ceiling use it is not necessary at all. Ordinary expanded polystyrene is sufficient. When asked why I use moldings from different materials, I will answer that the store chose exactly those that I just liked. Now about cutting moldings, since the duropolymer material is dense and it is unrealistic to cut it with a clerical knife, it is best to use an electric miter saw. But if it is not there, it does not matter. You can saw off such a molding at 45 degrees using an ordinary miter box and a hacksaw with a fine tooth. The main thing is to then process the sections with fine sandpaper, removing all the burrs. But a narrow molding made of expanded polystyrene can also be cut with an ordinary clerical knife. Since I got a non-standard angle for joining moldings, for proper trimming, I marked these corners on a sheet of plywood by analogy with the ceiling. Further on this plywood, at the corners of the joining of the moldings, I applied the cut lines. Now it remains only to attach the molding to the line and placing a wallpaper knife with replaceable blades clearly along the cut line, cut through the molding, while trying not to crush it with the blade itself, namely cut. Having cut all the necessary moldings to length and at the right angle at the joints, it is time to glue them. I note that the ceiling must be fairly even, so that the molding fits well along its entire length. If there are irregularities on the ceiling, for example, bumps often found on the seams between the plates, then they must be puttied with a smooth transition. Before gluing, lay the molding along the line and check that it fits really well all over its plane. Before gluing the moldings, the ceiling must be well primed. For gluing moldings, I use a special acrylic-based glue, which is designed specifically for this purpose. Someone glues fillets and moldings using finishing putty. I'll say right away that I don't really like this option and I'll explain why. The putty after drying does not have normal elasticity. Sometimes I observed the appearance of cracks at the junction of the molding or fillet with the ceiling or walls. I start by gluing a thin styrofoam molding, applying glue to the inside of the molding with a caulk gun. It is important to apply just enough glue so that later, after pressing the molding to the ceiling, it would protrude a little along the edges of the molding. Next, I glue the molding according to the markup. Press it across the entire plane to the ceiling. It is important not to overdo it. Here, since it is soft and with strong pressure, traces can easily remain on the molding. Having pressed the molding to the ceiling, I remove the excess adhesive that has come out along the edges with a rubber spatula. It is important that the spatula has a sharp corner, otherwise excess glue will remain and then it may be difficult to separate painting, since the masking tape will not fit properly in this place. At the junctions of the moldings with each other, at the corners, it is necessary to apply glue. The glue that has come out at the joints, then it is removed with a clean cloth. Next, the outer molding is glued. The joints at the corners are also glued, and the glue that has protruded around the perimeter is removed with a spatula. After the glue dries, the moldings are painted over with white paint with a brush. After allowing the paint to dry, the main canvas of the ceiling is painted with white paint. The space between the moldings will be painted in the color of the wallpaper. For this, the paint is tinted to the desired shade. Further, the space between the moldings is painted over with tinted paint, first with a brush along the moldings, trying not to go too far on them, then with a small roller. Next, after giving the paint the necessary time to dry and harden, usually the next day, I stick masking tape along the moldings to repaint them and paint over the dark paint that got on them. For separation, I use a special pink masking tape. It is well suited for delicate and freshly painted surfaces. After gluing tape around the perimeter of the moldings, I paint them again with white paint with a brush. Having painted over all the moldings, and without waiting for the paint to dry, I remove the masking tape. You need to do this carefully and without sudden movements. Peeling off the tape, you should try not to stain anything with fresh paint remaining on. That's all, the ceiling is ready and you can hang the chandelier. Definitely, such an approach has the right to life. Moldings can be glued to the ceiling in completely different ways. The molding glued along the wall at a short distance from the fillet looks quite nice. Here, as they say, in taste and color. That's all, create and have fun. Good luck to everyone and see you soon.